Hi everyone, this is Jamie. Um, so I was kind of hesitant on today's topic, but I figured that I would do it anyway. And I was between a few topics, and to be honest, at this point, I'm just like winging it and trying to see what's gonna happen. And also, if you hear dogs barking, if they manage to bark, it's because there's some actual dog fight on my street and I don't know what's happening, but regardless. So, today I wanted to talk about. I do understand that in our world, when it comes to sexuality, attraction, identity, and everything is very, very rigid in these days, and there are obviously a lot of articles which go like more people than ever are identifying as LGBT, and that's because right now we have this platform where we are allowed to even say who we are. So before I dive more into the topic, I really wanted to shout out to ta-da. So this book is available in Portuguese, Spanish, and Catalan, as far as I'm aware. So if you do not know those languages, please learn one of them. But in general, I also found it really interesting that I could not find it in English, and I saw it in like the recommended section of a Portuguese store. So shout out to Bertrand. You guys have good books, and in general, they're very trans friendly as well, and I always had a good experience with them. So yeah. So the offer is Bel. I am really sorry. I do not speak Catalan, and I can sometimes butcher other people's surnames due to the fact that I speak a lot of languages, so I can just butcher things. So the author is Bel Olid, or Olid. Anyway, so she kind of wrote this book. It's called, since people don't mostly speak Portuguese, it's called, in Portuguese, literally called Fuck or Fucking, and a question mark. And it specifically addresses issues such as sexuality, identity, attraction, monogamy, polyamory, and in general is a guide to all the problems and all the definitions that we're facing right now as a society, whether we are in the LGBT community or whether we are monogamous, polyamorous, etc. So I picked up this book when I was questioning a lot of things like, well, what do you read now? Because, I mean, Judith Butler isn't releasing any books as far as I'm aware of right now. And they did admit that Gender Trouble is outdated, and it did have an impact which they did not expect, and you know. And also, before I get into it, I also wanted to do a shout out to Nats Getty, who recently came out as non-binary and are on their path. And I will not touch on the subject further, as Nats is going through transition and seeing what feels comfortable. So yeah. But anyway, I still wanted to do that shout out because I think it's very important in this day and age that we feel comfortable in our skin, in our definitions, in our pronouns, and etc. So yay, woo. And so when it comes to attraction, so I'm still reading the book, and because I've been rather tired out of life and everything has just been bonkers due to COVID, I kind of didn't have a lot of time to read it, even though I picked it up maybe a month ago or so. And I started reading it in the bookstore up to the point that I just was reading through like half of it at that point, and I was like, yeah, okay, I gotta buy it. Because I was looking for some queer theory to read and kind of to update my views, to update everything. And I mentioned that it's not in English because right now, specifically in the English speaking countries, if you must, like in the UK, there's everything from turfs running loose to Stonewall being okay with transphobia again, to one of my friends who is in England said that apparently if you see a rainbow flag, that means people might be clapping for the NHS rather than gay rights and trans rights, obviously. So that kind of was very bizarre to me, to put it very, very softly. So, and in the US, there's always been a mess since ever when it comes to state. And that's what I found interesting because when I was looking through to understand who Bel Olid was, and when I found out more about her, the more I realized that she is obviously very well known in the Spanish, Portuguese, Catalan speaking world. But when it comes to the English one, she's completely unknown. And I found that very interesting and kind of it made me understand that people who support trans people or have a similar sort of view to what I see the world as, or from what I encounter the world as, through volunteering, through living as a trans guy who happens to wear makeup and whatever, and seeing the world kind of get this twisted idea of what trans is, and then me stumbling upon a book which I completely agree with and is seen as a serious book and etc. and explains things in a very, very good manner, made me realize that in the English speaking world, people are really fucked. So, yeah. I mean, my second topic of today was gonna be about James Charles and how I am honestly so sick of seeing him because he not only gives everyone in the LGBT community a bad rep, he's just a bad rep to everything at this point. So, yeah. And starting from his transphobia to his own identity issues to his sexuality, and obviously to the big attraction to minors that he seems to, pretend he doesn't have or defend or whatever. So, and that brings us to today's topic, which is attraction. I'm cracking myself up at this point because I'm really tired. So when it comes to attraction, I was reading the book and it made an interesting point. So when do we consider attraction a sexuality? Because when it comes to attraction, you can get attracted to someone by just talking to them. And in my case, I identify as polyamorous, and I have had numerous attractions over the years alongside my main partner, which I've been open about to my partner, and sometimes I'm not open about it to many other people because I feel like my polyamory is something much more personal to me. But at the same time, I kind of contradict myself by being open about polyamory on YouTube, but not being open to other people. Because when you're online, you kind of have the anonymity of you don't know who's behind the screen looking at you, even though I have some ideas right now. So yeah, so when it comes to attraction, when do you start considering it sexuality? So for instance, if you start talking to everyone who likes, I don't know, Franz Kafka, for instance, the author, does that mean you're attracted just to people who like Kafka? Not exactly. And Bell raised a very good point, which was that in languages such as Spanish, Portuguese, and Catalan, the ones which were mentioned in the book, or the ones I assumed, because those are the translations I found, is that in these languages, there the attraction to people, for instance, who are attracted to, I believe the word is sapiosexual. Yes, it is sapiosexual. Doesn't exactly exist in the Portuguese language, for instance. So she did mention that a lot of these definitions do not exist in other languages other than English. And then I started talking to my partner about it. And he said such things as, well, we're supposed to sort of close the bridge so that people can understand us. And people do have a sort of radical stance when it comes to, like, it's us against them. And at the end of the day, I think that there is a point of that, of us against them, because it is. We are an oppressed minority, and they are sort of like an oppressive majority. And that's why there's like articles like, oh my god, my children are gay, what can I do, and stuff like that. And why are more people identifying as more fluid when it comes to sexuality, identity, and etc. Which is apparently scaring people, but you know. So I wanted to say that we need to find a sort of like bridge. And I remember when Nina West went on Fox News. Nina West, the drag queen, just to clarify, in case you don't know, and she's an amazing, amazing, amazing drag queen. And I really appreciate anyone who does a lot of charity work. And I think she's a beacon of light. So, yay. And also the fact that she reads to children and did a whole YouTube channel about it and Instagram about it to read LGBT books to children, and not only, is amazing as well. So yeah, if you want to inspire to be someone, I would inspire to be Nina West with her like charitable causes. So yeah, so like when she went on Fox News, people cancelled her because people thought that because she's going on Fox News, she's like betraying us. But at the same time, if we want to be understood, you do need to go on such programs and talk to such people. I mean, I'm not saying that the solution, like, I would not be able to like go on a program with like Ben Shapiro, who will openly misgender me once he finds out that I'm trans, or say something really hurtful to me just because he's a prick, you know? But if I were to have like a civil conversation, or someone open-mindedly would ask me to like do some small speech for some conservative media just to explain what it is, I would do it because I've done it before and I can do it again. So yeah, Fox News, if you want to talk about LGBT issues, holler at me if you're going to be respectful to me. So yeah. And by respectful, I mean just honoring my pronouns, and you can ask whatever you want, but just honor me as a person. And I will explain everything as simple as possible. Because that is one of the things I want to do in life, to explain to people that, you know, I'm not someone who will bite. For real. So when it comes to attraction, it does raise the question, when does it stop being attraction and it becomes sexuality? And even then, when it comes to sexuality, it's not like you never had a positive experience with like men, woman, or non-binary people. And of course there are extremes, and there is PTSD and etc., other factors which can erase positive attractions in your mind, or things that you suppress. But when it comes to such things as attraction, when does sexuality begin? And also, there's also the question of asexuality as well. So when it comes to attraction and labels, where are we? You know? And it was something that I've been asking myself for many, many years. And it really depends on the day when people ask me, like, who am I attracted to? By the end of the day, I am attracted to people. but I just happen to never sexually or emotionally properly click with women. Even though, like, I can sometimes have a crush on a girl or whatever, but it just doesn't work out. I get bored, the other person, the other girl gets bored, or it doesn't click, and that's why I am very hesitant to say that I'm bisexual. Even though I have attraction and I have like relationships and etc. of non-binary people, but when it comes to feminine, it doesn't happen. So yeah, but still, I'm the majority of my pool is still men, and I identify as gay because it's the label I just feel comfortable with. Even though, like when I go to get tested for HIV and every different sexual diseases every 3 months, everyone please do your checks, by the way. You really need to do them. Up to the point that maybe I should do like every 3 month reminders, or like I randomly go in the video and be like, are you checked? So yeah. And I was like discussing that I do, like, they needed basically for statistics what is your sexuality, and I was like, well, and then the ones in my long run they were like, well, I'm just gonna take bisexual, I guess. And I'm like, well, okay. Even though I do not sleep with women, I've never slept with women, so yeah. Well, as far as, well, yeah, okay, yeah. So yeah, so I found that question really interesting, and it's something which made me realize how diverse our sexuality is, how diverse our attraction is. And in general, it's a very good book, and I highly recommend it if there are any translations out there, or if it gets translated into English, since I am an mostly English speaking YouTube channel, to really go out there, out of your way to read this book instead of focusing on different turf terminology. So yeah, so it's more of a, it's a very short video, but regardless, I think it serves a very important message. So I do think that when it comes to labels, you should identify them yourself, you should understand, and if you are questioning, please leave the label in for yourself for a bit in your head. See what you feel comfortable, try it out. Don't be afraid to experiment, go back and forth until you understand who you are. Take as much time as needed. And what matters at the end of the day is that you are happy with yourself. And you are not hurting others like James Charles is. So yay! So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'm really sorry that I really tried to make this video longer, but I couldn't. So I still hope that I'll get a lot of clicks. Also, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, and if you want to, please buy me a coffee. Thank you. Bye bye.